Today, ladies around the world pay a lot of money just to have structures like this. But in her case, she was used and abused even after her death for having this. The case of Sarah Baartman, also known as Hottentot Venus, is a typical case of another form of horrible African slavery experience. So many people do not know about Sarah Baartman, the lady with the largest buttocks, or the experience she had in the hands of her slave masters, simply because she had a very large buttocks. How she ended up being exhibited as a freak show attraction in London and Paris, and what they actually did with her body after her death. These and many more are what we are going to expose in this video. But before we proceed with the video, please, if you haven't subscribed yet and you found value in this video, kindly hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up, share your opinion in the comments section below, and a big thank you to all our amazing subscribers. Please don't forget to share this video with your friends and spread the love. Your support means the world to us. Sarah was born into a family of cattle herders in 1789 at the Gorse River in the Eastern Cape. Sarah experienced full-time hardship in life. This is because she was orphaned as a teenager, with her mother dying when she was just 2 and her father when she was a teenager. Sarah's mother is a native of the oldest tribe in South Africa, known as Khoi tribe. There were 2 physical features that beautified the women of this tribe at that time: 1 lighter skin tone and 2 well-developed hips. Sarah, being a daughter of a Khoi tribe woman, also possessed a heritage from her mother: a well-developed large buttocks, medically known as stoya. This is a state in which a woman accumulates a substantial amount of adipose tissue on the buttocks and thighs. Sometimes the tissue extends to the outside and front of the thighs. This results in giving the woman a curvaceous figure. Sarah, possessing the beautiful look, made her a fascinating being to the European colonizers of the early 19th century. The Europeans categorized her as a subhuman out of racial sentiments. This made them unleash the greatest physical exploitation on her, as poor as she was as an orphan. Sarah was working as a domestic worker in Cape Town in the house of a Dutch doctor and staff of the Royal Navy named William Dunlop after he purchased her from an African farmer of the Khoi tribe, her previous employer. Ever since Dunlop's purchase, Sarah's predicament multiplied in folds. Dunlop used Sarah as his slave and hot servant in Cape Town for a while before taking her to London in 1810. Dunlop and his partner, a mixed-race entrepreneur named Hendrik Sayers, had to travel back to London with Sarah and convinced her to sign a contract with them to be used as a freak show attraction. They convinced her that she could make a lot of money exposing her body for entertainment. The unsuspecting Sarah, with her timidity, agreed and signed the contract written by Dunlop. It was more like a Greek gift. The terms of the contract were false, and Sarah Baartman remained enslaved for the rest of her life. With the contract sealed and in progress, Dunlop and Hendrik organized freak shows across England, Ireland, and other cities in the UK, as well as in the Netherlands, while cashing out massively and paying Baartman just a little money for feeding. Sarah was made to appear with very scanty clothing on her body. While the public paid to see and play with her body, she became pawned in the hands of his slave masters. She could take any instruction that appeals to the customers, like walking, stood, sitting, or danced, as the case may be provided. The client has made the payment. The whites saw her with stupefaction, amazement, disgust, and amusement. Both men and women touched and made her a plaything. In fact, she was treated like an animal. In the month of September of the year 1814, Baartman was sold to Roll, a Parisian animal keeper in Paris, France. This transaction was possible because of the popularity Sarah got in the court trials. When some concerned citizens filed a suit against Dunlop's contract with her, they felt sympathetic of her for her predicaments and filed a lawsuit to stop the exhibitions and exploitation. Unfortunately, they failed because the terms of the contract overruled their complaint. And Sarah herself had at one time made a formal statement that she was doing all the exhibitions of her own volition and that it wasn't a mistreatment. The statement was questionable and lacked integrity because people were of the opinion that she was coerced to make the statement. Secondly, her poor command of the English language was a great limitation to clear communication. However, Baartman continued her performances displaying at the popularly known Palais Royal. She was caged in a show glass with baby rhinoceros, and Rowe gave her instructions on the positions and styles. He wanted her to pose. She was made to exhibit some kind of zoological behavior. This gave her some psychological shift, turning her into an alcoholic person. It was rumored that she also indulged in prostitution as a result. She met a famous French scientist and Surgeon General of Napoleon Bonaparte and caretaker of the menagerie at the National Museum of Natural History. His name was George Cuvier. He was also popularly regarded as the founder of French naturalism and the comparative founder of anatomy. His interest in Sarah was to use her for a scientific study. Cuvier made observations resulting in a statement about her anatomy and movements, such as something brusque and capricious about them, resembling those of monkeys. Baartman suddenly became a trending gist among the French scientists and formed the subject of scientific paintings in Paris. These paintings would become monuments if the story of science-based racial discrimination. Cuvier, in his quest to confirm his theory, which states that Africans were scientifically close to animals than they are to humans, wanted inspecting the Baartman's reproductive organ to check the presence of elongated labia. However, Baartman refused him to see her reproductive organ. These exploitation continued until when she unfortunately gave up the ghost on the 29th of December 1815 in Paris. At the age of 26, she died of pneumonia, syphilis, or alcoholism, and also died in poverty. Although she was dead, Carrier went on to dissect her body to continue with his research. In 1817, his dissected body was cast in plaster and displayed in Paris. In his research work, he established that the blacks are perpetually inferior to whites. In 1975, the private's brain skeleton and the plaster cast of her body were exposed to the public in Paris. Although after several complaints, the feminists in 1970s argued that the exhibition was destructive and demeaning to women. In 1974, the remains were finally removed from the public view, and France retained ownership until 1994, when Nelson Mandela became the president of South Africa. He requested the French government to return Baartman's remains. The French government only agreed and returned her body in the year 2022. On the South Africa Women's Day, her body was buried in Cape Town. After 200 years, she died, and the former president of SA Thabo Mbeki declared Sarah's resting place a national heritage site as a reward for her tortures, humiliation, and enslavement. Sarah was declared an iconic symbol of the dark African colonial past. You see, Sarah's enslavement shows how the Europeans abhor the blacks. It is one of the greatest African people's humiliations in history, where the beauty and amazing physical sculpture of a black was ironically given the worst remark due to racial sentiments. Thank you so much for watching.